I believe that the president of the Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin, is making a huge mistake by passing this new decree that just happened in August 19, 2024. Now, if you don't know, this is a decree that's going to facilitate immigration into Russia via temporary residency. Now, the reason why I'm saying this, and we'll dig deeper into it, is because where I come from, there's been people who immigrate from liberal states into conservative states, and they end up ruining not only where they came from, but where they went to. So let's take a deep dive into this new decree that was passed in Russia, and let's talk about what I think, and then you can tell me what you think. Let's take a look at a news article that came out announcing this decree so that we can further understand it. We'll also translate the actual decree that's written in Russian, and we'll dig deeper into this. All right, guys? So let's read the news. This was published August 19th, so yesterday, 9 in the morning, 11 minutes. Russia offers safe haven for people trying to escape Western liberal ideas. Moscow, August 19. Moscow will provide assistance to any foreigners who want to escape the neoliberal ideals being put forward in their countries and move to Russia, where traditional values reign supreme, according to a decree signed by President Vladimir Putin. Under the document, such foreign nationals will have the right to apply for temporary residence in Russia, outside the quota approved by the Russian government and without providing documents confirming their knowledge of the Russian language, Russian history, and basic laws. Applications may be based on the rejection of their country's policies aimed at imposing destructive neoliberal ideas on people, which run counter to traditional Russian spiritual and moral values. The values listed in the foundations of the Russian state policy in this field, while the Russian government is expected to compile a list of countries imposing unhealthy attitudes on their citizens. The Foreign Ministry has been instructed to start issuing 3-month visa to such applicants as early as in September. Let's start off with that first paragraph. There's a lot of words that really scare me because they said that they're looking for people who need assistance in escaping, right? When you're attracting people that are running away from something, this is usually not a good thing when it has to do with like ideologies, right? Because you can end up getting radicals. And the last thing you want are crazy radical people coming into your country. You know, the Russian government is not going to be able to tell who's okay in their head. There's a lot of examples in Russia of people that are too extreme. And I think that when you overcorrect something, when you want to attract people, it can end up being a Trojan horse. Russia can literally Trojan horse itself, right? Because it has people who never came before, but now since it's a lot easier, of course they're going to come. I think that things should not be too hard, but they shouldn't be attracting people with hey guys, run to us, run to us. This is the wrong way of looking at it, in my opinion. What do you guys think? Is this the right way to do it? Worded in a way that people should be fleeing their countries? Now on the second paragraph, there's something very important because, okay, let's say that language, it shouldn't be mandatory if you want temporary residency. If you come to Russia and you actually like it, you shouldn't have to be forced to know the language immediately. I don't speak Russian, but I'm married to a Russian, so I feel like I should at least have temporary residency where the government can check up on me, make sure I'm not breaking any laws, make sure I'm not doing anything bad, right? But I should be at least given the right to apply for temporary residency. But there's other things there where it says that Russian history and Russian basic law should also be kind of waived. There should be no waiver for not knowing Russian history and Russian laws or basic laws. This is the fundamental Russian spirit. The Russian soul sits on its history. The Russian soul and like assimilation comes more with the history and the laws, because the laws here in Russia are way different than anywhere else in the world. For instance, there's a lot of people who might want to come to Russia, but they might find assimilating to the laws very difficult. Because if I'm speaking from American point of view, there's a lot of Americans who have left California because it's a liberal state, but it's too liberal, and they move to Florida and Texas, but they find those places too conservative, and they end up moving back, or they start voting in Texas and Florida, and they start ruining what those states used to be. This is what I mean by a Trojan horse. I don't know if anybody else is wording it this way. I don't know if anybody else is like throwing red flags, but this is my way of looking at this new decree. I hope that Russia can kind of facilitate things, but don't throw out laws and just history out the window. Now, when I talk about radical people who might come to Russia with this decree, I'm talking about there's some people that are already in Russia when they came and it was harder, and even they slipped through the cracks. In my opinion, people like this guy who tattooed Z on his chin, and I was in a conversation with him and he was talking about Russia should conquer Istanbul, and he was so like super aggressive against the rest of the world. This guy was like talking lunacy, how Russia should conquer Ukraine and all these things. Like, these are radical thinking. Like, this is not even a Russian form of thinking, because I live next to Ukrainians. I have Ukrainian neighbors. You know, like here in Russia, people live in harmony. But this guy with the Z on his chin, dressed like he's going to war, but he's actually doing nothing. This guy wants to conquer a whole other country and then spread Russian culture everywhere. But he's not the one fighting, and he's not Russian himself. So you get this kind of person when you don't have to teach people Russian law, Russian history. You know, like, history of Russia is really important. When I came to Russia, I learned that Russia is not a colonizing country. This is what the Russians like to say. This is what they feel, and they embrace other people. So when you have people like him talking amongst other people like super radical ideas, this is a problem. If you open the gate and make it easier for people to come with that mentality, you're going to end up ruining your society. Now, I don't want to sound negative. This decree is going to help a lot of people, and I'm very happy in a way that it's happening. I'm just throwing the red flags because I know no one else is going to do it this way. I know no one else is going to be bringing up these points, but I can't wait for this decree to help actually some good people that are going to come, or some people that are already here. I know a lot of foreigners that have been living in Russia on tourist visas for years. It's going to help a lot of those people that have fallen in love with Russia, that fell in love with it before they thought they had to run away from something, okay? I just know that this is going to help a lot of my friends who already create content, who have been seeking help from Russia. You know, this is the most important thing for me, that I know it's going to help a lot of people, but we should never let our guard down. You know, if I was in charge of this, I would definitely have not worded it the way they worded it. Like, these words are just trigger words for people who are going to act on the dime, the drop of the dime, and maybe just go somewhere and regret it, or try to change where they are. And Russia doesn't need change. Russia needs to stay how it is. It doesn't need to invite these people who want to change it. Moving on to the next paragraph, where it talks about applications may be based on the rejection of their country's policies. What I've learned is that you can't fix the tree who's leaning already. So when you have someone who's running away from something that they don't like, usually they might run away from Russia as well. I feel like Russia is already an attractive place. You shouldn't run away from something. You should run towards something. Russia's attractive enough to have and invite people in. The biggest reason why so many people were already moving to Russia is because they saw it as a place that seemed valuable to them. The people that were already coming were finding Russia attractive. They weren't really running. That wasn't the biggest thing in their mind. Of course, they left because they didn't like where they came from, but they weren't running away from it. They were more so running towards Russia because it was very attractive. And I feel like Russia's dropping the ball here. They could look they already are an attractive country. Why not take that and put that forward? Why not erase all this neoliberal talk? Because you're going to have people who are coming into Russia for the wrong reasons, acting like they're running from somewhere just to ruin your country because you're going to facilitate it. If you worded it, facilitate it, it just facilitates bad people to come into your country. So I'm again, this is a huge mistake by the Russian government. This is my opinion. The way that it's set out, it seems like a tic-tac, a game that Russia's playing with the Western countries. Now getting to this last paragraph, and I want to mention that I talked about the countries that are going to send their people. Here, it's up to the Ministry of Foreign Ministry. They're going to be making a list of what countries qualify. And I guarantee you, you can take this to the bank, that a lot of the countries on the list of approved countries where they can move to Russia and immigrate, those countries are going to be on this list and also on the unfriendly list. It's going to be probably identical. So Russia's probably going to aim for making it easier for countries that are unfriendly to Russia, because usually unfriendly countries think way different than Russia and are at odds with Russia, sanctioning Russia. Those countries are usually countries that have very liberal societies. And guess what? Those countries are on the unfriendly list, and they'll probably end up on the list of countries that can immigrate into Russia. And there you go. That's another problem. For me, I see this entire thing schemed incorrectly. The end of this document here said that in February, Putin supported the idea of Italian student Irene Cecchini. So this was a woman that asked President Putin directly, can you make it easier for people who love Russia, I think, that embrace Russia, that really want to be in Russia, could you make it easier for them to immigrate to Russia? I don't know if she said anything like, can you make it easier for people who are running away from their countries from neoliberalism and all these crazy ideologies? No, I think that this Italian woman found Russia beautiful, attractive, a place where she can make her life and her dreams come true. That is what Russia should be promoting. An attractive country that you move to, not because you're running away from something, but because you want to run towards it. Russia is dropping the ball on this. Let's take a quick look at the video of the young lady who talked to President Putin. A lot of people are saying that this is actually where the idea to make this decree came from. You tell me if this looks like a person who is running away from something or is actually very attracted to what Russia is. And you be the judge. Honestly, this is, in my opinion, a really cool conversation between two people, very approachable president.
Создата специальная организация индивидуального сопровождения, обеспечение услуги, то есть культурный, трудовой и социальные услуги для людей, которые хотят переехать сюда. И даже предлагаю организовать дистанционное информирование через интернет-платформу для импатриантов о возможностях переезда в Россию. Владимир Владимирович, я лично готова в этом помогать и получить российское гражданство, чтобы построить свою дальнейшую жизнь в этой прекрасной стране, в России. Спасибо вам большое.
The quick summary to what this lady is talking about is basically she doesn't mention anything, at least in this clip, about running away or neoliberalism or all this stuff. She's already living in Russia, but she's thinking about the future of people who find Russia attractive, who want to maybe work in Russia or move to Russia. She wants it to be easier. If you don't know, here in Russia, the bureaucracy is insane. And actually, there's not a lot of things that you can do online. A lot of things you have to be here in person. A lot of things here in Russia, you have to kind of stand in line and go to this office, that office, this office, and that office. She wants to facilitate things. Make it easier, funnel people in through one way so that people can get to Russia and be progressive people inside of Russia. I'm just very happy that there's not really a translation there where they're talking about run away from somewhere. Now we can make it easier. Don't have to do, she didn't say like, you don't have to learn this, you don't have to learn that. No, it's just make it a little bit easier and comprehensible for the people. Maybe put it online. And yeah. Anyways, that's my rant for the day. Tell me what you think. This decree is going to help a lot of people. I am not going to take advantage of this. I'm married to a Russian. I came to Russia because I wanted to explore Russia, and I fell in love with Russia way before I fell in love with my wife. I fell in love with Russia because of what it was before I met Ksenia. You know, you just feel it as soon as you come here. It's a different place, and I embrace the Russian soul. I just feel like this is a horrible mistake. Hopefully they word it differently, and hopefully they do their due diligence and they check everybody that tries to take advantage of this. Because whenever they make things easy, bad things will happen. Leave me all your comments, and I'll see you on the next one.